So now what we need to do is that we need to access the articles array in the index.html and display the articles here. But before we do so, we need to know the structure of the articles. As I have told you earlier, the structure of the articles is that it's an array. Let me show you again the structure so that you understand how it's going to be displayed. So if you go back to the documentation, and you'll find that here this is the link that I have used, this one, and here it shows you the structure. So what you are going to get is that you are going to get an array, which is the articles, and it contains objects. Each single object represents a news headline or news story, and each single news story has source, author, title, description, image, URL to image, and content, and also published at. So the keys that I'm going to be using are the title, the description, URL to image, and content, and also published at. So what I'm going to do is that in my project, in order to loop over the array, in order to loop over the article array, we need to use the following syntax. We need to say here curly brackets and then percentages, and then in between we need to say for article in articles, for article in articles, and then we need to say curly braces and then percentages, and then in between we need to say end for. We need to end this block, and then in between we need to use this article to access each single article that is stored in the articles. So here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say let's say here dev, and then inside that dev what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say double curly braces and then article, and then the key that we want to use and display its data. So we want to display the title, so I'm going to say article dot title. For the description, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to say dev, and then in between I'm going to say double curly braces, and then I'm going to say article dot description. For the third key is the URL to image. I'm going to say here dev, and then URL to image, article dot URL to image, and the last key that I want to use is the content. So here I'm going to say dev, and then here double curly braces, and then article, and then dot content. Let me now save and let me head on over to the browser to test. So the browser, let me refresh, and if I refresh, as you can see, I'm going to get all of the articles here being displayed, but of course it doesn't look good because I didn't work on the design yet. So let me now, instead of displaying the data, instead of displaying the articles like this, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be using Bootstrap to display these articles in a well-designed page. So what I'm going to do is that here, instead of using this format, I'm going to remove this completely, and then I'm going to create here a well-designed div that's going to display each single article. So I'm going to here say div, and this div I'm going to give it a Bootstrap class called Bootstrap class. Here I'm going to say the Bootstrap class is going to be column large 6 and column SM12 and MB3. So let me explain what this is. This column large 6 means that the each single row is going to contain two elements, two story headlines or news stories. And because Bootstrap divides the page into 12 columns, and if you say here 6, it means that two stories will be displayed in one row for big screens, for large screens, and for small SM, for small screens, each single article is going to take, or each single story is going to take 12 columns out of 12, which means they will be displayed in a single, in each row for small screens. And here in B for margin bottom 3, just margin bottom. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create another div here, and for this div I'm going to give it a class as well. I'm going to say class, and that class is going to be card, which is a bootstrap class that's going to make the design look amazing. I'm going to say card, and then I'm going to say style. The style is going to be equal to width. The width of each card is going to be 28 rem, and the margin is going to be 0 auto. And in between here, what I'm going to do is that I am going to display the content. And to display the content, we need to use the image, and we need to use the div. So I'm going to say img, and we need for this img, I'm going to give it a class here. I'm going to say class. The class is going to be card image top, and the alternative is going to be nothing. It's just going to be dots. For the title, we need to use the div card body. I'm going to say div, and then here class card body. And for the card body here, what we want is that we want to display the title and the content and the description. So I'm going to say h5, and then I'm going to say class, and the class is going to be card title, and for the description, I'm going to say paragraph, and then class, and the class is going to be the card content. And this is for this part. So let's display now the image. So for the image, what I'm going to say here is that I'm going to say source, and the source is going to be equal to double quotes and then double curly braces, and then I'm going to say article dot URL to image. For the title here, I'm going to say double curly braces, and then I'm going to say article dot title. For the content, I'm going to say double curly braces, and then I'm going to say article dot description. And if you want to display more keys, we have more keys here. We have the title, the description, the URL, the published at. You can, of course, create another HTML tag and display that key. For now, I'm just going to be displaying these. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser to test. So the browser here, let me refresh and show you how awesome this is going to be. Let me here refresh, and as you can see, this is how it's going to look like. It looks much better than before, but the problem with this is that we need to organize this further so that two stories will be displayed in one column, in one row. So to do that, I'm going to here say, at the top here, I'm going to say dev, and then I'm going to say class, and the class is going to be container, and I'm going to also use the raw, the mt5, and the text center, and I'm going to also say here style margin left auto and margin right auto. Margin right auto. And we need to close this div. So at the end, below the end here, below this, I'm going to close this div. So make sure that you close this div at the end, below the for each, below the end for.